Welcome to Theme Weavers, your weekly wisdom for weaving yoga themes into your classes to inspire your students. We're your hosts, Heidi
and Farin.
Welcome to episode 7 of Theme Weavers. Today's episode is a bit different as I get the privilege of interviewing my co-host Farin about her go-to back pocket theme. In case this is the first episode you're listening to, please go check out episode 2 of the Theme Weavers podcast for details and background on the structure of how and why to weave themes through your yoga classes. But for today, we get to do something different. But in order for you to know what we're talking about, Farin, what is a back pocket theme?
Hey, Heidi. Yeah, so a back pocket theme is a theme that you metaphorically whip out of your back pocket, and you can use it for any yoga class of any style, any time of the day, any season, with any posture or any sequence in mind. It just works. A back pocket theme is one where you're super comfortable with it and you don't need any preparation to use it. Like literally whip it out of your back pocket and roll with it. It doesn't even have to be tied to a yoga sutra, although it can be. And you don't need to read from anything when you're delivering your theme. And most of the time, you'll have personal stories or examples that can help back up your theme as you explain it to your students and help them connect
I
to
bet
it.
you can probably even deliver it multiple times in a billion different ways because you're so connected to the theme that you don't even have to really give it any thought. And it just, if you're lacking inspiration as a teacher or something, you can just sort of whip it out.
Whip it out.
Why not? Okay, so now that we know what a back pocket theme is, Farron, what is yours? What is your back pocket theme? And what do your jeans look like that you wear when you whip it out? Just kidding. Sorry. I have to have humor in this podcast. All right, but seriously, give us a Dharma talk as if I and all of our listeners are your students and you're starting your class right now and introducing the theme. What do you say?
Okay, will do. But first, yoga teachers don't wear jeans.
Ever? I mean,
Ever. No, I'm just kidding.
very
Sometimes I wear
rarely. My
them.
cousin the other day was wearing the cutest jeans. I was like, oh, those are so cute. And they were sweatpants. They like looked exactly like jeans, but they were sweatpants. And I definitely
Like jeggings?
know, like those newly fashionable slash old school jeans that are more wide leggings, like wide legged. I mean, sort of like
Oh,
what were they called when we were growing up? Like Jenkos? Is that what they were called?
yeah.
Yeah,
JNCO.
yeah, sort of like those, but maybe a little bit cooler looking and also made of sweatpants. Even had a fake button on the front, and I thought it was real.
Nice.
We digress. Tell me about your back pocket theme.
Yes, my back pocket theme. All right, so I will deliver my Dharma talk as if I were teaching you or the listeners. Today, class will have the intention of gratitude. We're going to flip our mindsets from I have to do this to I get to do this. Now, I don't know about you, but often I complain about things that I have to do because I'm like, I have to drive my kids to school. I have to go to work. I have to cook dinner. And it's all of these things that I do on a normal daily basis, but I just want to complain about them because, right, it's just extra things that are added to my list. So instead, I find the intention of gratitude and I flip the script. So instead of I have to take my kids to school, I change it to I get to take my kids to school. And like, how cool is that? I can be in the moment. I can sit with my kids in the car, have a conversation with them on the way to school or on the way to the bus stop. And then instead of I have to go to work, I get to say that I get to do this. I get to go to work. I get to teach yoga. Like, how cool is that? It's like actually the coolest job. Instead of saying I have to cook dinner, then I get to flip the script and say I get to cook dinner. Like, how fortunate am I that I get to go purchase food and that I'm able to cook dinner and serve my family a delicious meal? It's actually a privilege, and I have to have that gratitude mindset for that. So this helps with staying in the moment because instead of just complaining about the next thing that I have to do, I switch it to like, I get to do this right now. And how cool is that I get to be right here? Some challenges that can arise though as we practice this flip the script mindset is that it's hard to do. It's hard to do sometimes when there are just things that we really don't want to do. Like, I have to go to the doctor today. I have to get a blood draw. Like, who wants to do that? So it's really challenging sometimes to flip the script and like find the silver lining in those moments. But some of the benefits that you can get when you are practicing this theme of gratitude, I actually refer back to Sutra 2.42 for this that says practicing contentment or gratitude allows us to experience the joy of simple pleasures without clinging to them. Supreme joy is attained through the practice of gratitude. So just living like a really content life by staying in the moment, practicing gratitude, flipping the script from I have to do this to I get to do this. That's my Dharma talk.
I love it. I love it. And I really like that flip the script idea, right? That you can be thinking about something and maybe it's not serving you. Even if it's not a theme of gratitude, like this, you could apply that to other things where you just shift the narrative to the opposite. You flip it over to get a very different experience. I love that.
Yeah.
Great, Farron. I love that you really touched on all of these things that we've been talking about of how you'd want to deliver a theme into your class. So this Dharma talk had everything that we've been combining in past conversations, right? You talked about the key points. You introduced the idea of gratitude and flipping the script to be able to have a different experience. You told us some of the problems that it solves by having this gratitude mindset. You told us the challenges that can arise when you're practicing gratitude. And some days you don't even really feel like there's much to be grateful for, right? It's difficult when things are feeling down and icky, but you have such beautiful results by doing that. So I absolutely love it.
Thanks, Heidi. I deliver that Dharma talk so many times and in different classes, and I use different examples every time because there's always something that I just didn't want to do that day that I have to tell my students that I got to flip the script on. So,
I love that. And they get to really get to know you a little bit more too, rather than just the teacher that's standing in front of them. They know things that bug you and that you're able to switch around because you're human just like them doing this practice.
yeah, and often they have the same things that they're complaining about in their own life, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I hate taking my kids to school too."
100%. Do you ever get nervous though when you're doing this that you're going to show this thing about yourself, right? This vulnerability, if you will. Like, I don't want to take my kids to school. That's not really a good example, but anything that where you're just like showing a piece of yourself. Do you ever get nervous standing in front of your class that they're going to be like, "What is she talking about? Like, what kind of monster is she that doesn't want to drive her children to school?"
I think that in our community, I have been just completely authentic and vulnerable so much that it nothing surprises anyone anymore, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it really they just listen to me and they're like, "Yep, mhm."
I think it's good. It just makes it so much more relatable to your students and it gives them the space to be showing up authentically for themselves too. And anything that they might be insecure about, that they know it's safe to experience and express. So that way they can learn to flip their own scripts and find gratitude for those things as well.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay, now take me through your class, Farron. What might the practice look like, and what would your thematic through line phrase be? I can make a guess. Flip the script, maybe? I don't know. Let's hear.
That's one of the good ones. I use a few when I teach this class. But what I really, really love to do is teach a sequence that goes to a really hard pose as my peak, or I'll just keep doing really hard poses throughout the entire sequence because I think that it just hits harder when it's something that like is uncomfortable, challenging, and that you don't want to do. While we're holding plank for a very long time, then you get to say, I don't have to hold this plank, but I get to hold this plank and I get to be grateful for the strength in my shoulders and my core. Or if I'm holding them in chair pose for a really long time, then I tell them flip the script. You don't have to be in chair. You don't have to hold chair for 10 breaths, but you get to hold this chair pose in your practice and you get to be grateful for your strong legs. So I use a lot of the thematic through line phrase of you don't have to, but you get to, and then have them think about what can you be grateful for in this posture.
Do you do it with that like sweet little smile on your face that you're doing right now? Like the sneaky little like
Oh,
you get to
absolutely.
fairy while they're like huffing and puffing. You're like, you get to do this.
Yes, absolutely. I'm always smiling when I say hard things like that, and sometimes I laugh, and my students will laugh with me sometimes, but they still stay in the pose. They don't get out of
Hey, they don't want to disappoint their teacher.
it.
I love it. That's so good. So, what would you then say at the end of your class to wrap it up? Like, I'm sitting there, I'm your student. You're calling me out of Shavasana. I'm kind of like in that blissful grogginess. I'm wiggling my fingers and my toes, getting ready to roll onto my side. What happens next?
Then I say, after I cue you to pay attention to your breath and to be grateful for your breath, that you didn't have to come to practice today. You didn't have to show up on your mat. You didn't have to spend the last 60 minutes with me or 75 or whatever it may be. But you got to do that and you got to experience this. So take this theme with you throughout the rest of your day and keep practicing this intention of gratitude. And just know that whenever you're facing something that is challenging or that you don't want to do it, see if you can flip the script and you get to do it. You get to do this thing and you get to be grateful.
My God, you're so good at this. You're so good at this.
Hey.
I'm so jealous that I live on the opposite side of the country and I can't be on the floor in your classroom having you say that. It's just like such a beautiful way to wrap it up and that pretty fancy bow on your, what was I calling it? Not an open faced sandwich. You like close the sandwich from our first
Close
episode.
the sandwich.
It's a closed sandwich, no
Yeah.
open faced avo toast over here. But I love that. So did you also think to create an inspo sheet for this class for our listeners, or
Absolutely. I love me my inspo sheets.
they're so pretty? Have any of you
So
downloaded them? Let us know if you have, because we're really excited about them. We've been working hard.
they're so cute and they're just printable and like you have your whole class planned right here. So the sutra that I read, it's on here. I have a quote from Eckhart Tolle that says, acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. That quote's on the inspo sheet. I have a suggestion for a phrase and a mantra and a mudra, peak postures, layering postures, a really cool meditation, and lots of inspo for your playlist. So this is a really juicy inspo sheet.
Well, it's your back pocket. It's going to be juicy. It's so good. And you can turn it into so many different things. I love it. And it's so awesome.
You can snag that inspo sheet at themeweaversyoga.com/episode 7.
So if you check out Farron's inspo sheet, if you like her back pocket theme, just let us know. Reach out to us on Facebook, on Instagram, email us. Let us know how it lands. We want to know how what we do is translating for you. We're here to support you, fellow yoga teacher, in your class preparation and delivery. So please let us know how we can be of the most support for you. Tune in next week for another episode of Theme Weavers. Until next time,
We weave you in peace.